Hello and welcome back to another great video of Pushing Technology to the Limit. If you're wondering what this operating system is, or Pi-hole for that matter, I'm going to give you some illustrations of what it's about and what you can do with it. And I'm not really, this is not a setup video just yet, but I will be doing that. So what is Pi-hole? If you have just run across this video and maybe you've looked at other videos and you're kind of like, what in the heck does this thing do? How do you set it up? Well, Pi-hole is basically a system that takes all the advertising and filters it. It's like, let me just illustrate it this way. It's, some people have called it the black hole, and did some pictures of certain things. We're not really talking about mouths here. I don't really think Pi-hole has a really good description of what an ad filtering system should be. If it was my system, I would have labeled it something else other than Pi-hole. So what do you need to get this thing going? As you can see behind me here, it's somewhat running on my screen. And I've got it running on a virtual state and on my laptop. And this is a 2017 release of Raspberry Jessie. Now, it's pretty much like a desktop. And I found out that there is a lot of easier ways to set this thing up than just the way that you see it of everybody doing it. So, my concerns are, the setup. And I've been playing around with this as, before and after of making this video, and I'll still be playing around with it. I'm having some issues today with actually getting it fully functioning. I did have it running, and then it all of a sudden just stopped, and I'm like, why? And there's no help for my problem, and I've looked it up and looked it up, so basically I'm going to have to tinker with it. If you have better success with this thing than I do, I'm all happy for you. But if you're not, and you're kind of in the boat that I am, because today is a beginner's video of just some things that you should be, concerned about, give it some thought before you actually start this project. And really, this thing has been out for a good long time now, and I haven't really seen the documentation all that helpful. Even when I first started with this project, and even when I first looked into it, I was like, alright, well, how do you actually get this thing to work? Nothing. And obviously, now they got a release out, and that you can actually install it on a virtual machine. You can install it on a regular laptop computer, which I will show you that in a minute. There's really not much to see in this video. I'm just giving you kind of a heads up of what to look for and, how to get things going. And the kind of my do's and don'ts of, what they say is the way to do it and the way that I say you should do it. I mean, if you want a stable version, use a regular hard drive, and that is one that has a mechanical disk in it. Stay away from those memory and flash drive things that people are always pushing on people, those solid state things. They're not reliable. I've done this plenty of times with other operating systems, and it's a headache. I've had one of those things last a year. So I put it in, around January 1st of whatever year, and then I end up having to replace it at the end of December of that same year, and it's like, it ain't worth it. And I've been through that, through a bunch of different Linux operating systems. I'm like, no, I'm going back to the old way. So when you get into doing something like this, think about the parts you need to do it with. Now, they're trying to push this little circuit board thing on you, which I can't show you. It's just a Raspberry Pi. You can find it on Amazon. You can find it basically anywhere, and on all these videos that you watch about this Raspberry Pi hole deal thing. I wouldn't use that. I would use either a virtual environment, and I don't really recommend that too much. I mean, it's good for testing, like I'm doing right now, but and what you can do with it is set a restore point so that if you do something wrong, and before you do something that you really don't know what you're doing, you can set a restore point, which in a computer you would have to basically just crash the thing and just rebuild it from scratch. Now there are several options out there that you can do. You can, and I don't know what it stands for, but it's an ISO file. And if you're looking at installing it on a 64-bit or a 32-bit, the ISO file says x86 on it. I have just tested this, and it actually installs on both 32-bit and 64-bit. I've got one processor in my virtual machine, 512 megabits of RAM, a 20 gig hard drive. Those flash sticks range from 16 gigabytes or 8 gigabytes. Like I said, I don't recommend those. I would use, like I said, a regular hard drive. And I would actually put this on a regular tower that has, internal parts that you can put in, like a hard drive and a CD-ROM, and you can put in Ethernet cards. This laptop I got an external USB, Ethernet card. It's okay, but it's not something I'm going to live with like that. Those things fail quickly too. I've used them in other situations that they've lasted for a while, but it just wasn't all that reliable. And there's just certain things that I can't really explain about it that it does when they start to fail. When you're going to do something like this, I would actually set up a test network. Now, if you have the parts, that's what I would do. If you have a spare router, spare switch, or whatever it is that you need, that you want to use with your existing network, to kind of test this out before you actually get going, putting this into a real world environment. There's that saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, you're going to have to play with this, like I'm doing right now. I'm having an issue, and I kind of understand about what I'm trying to do, but as far as routing is concerned and all that jazz, I think it needs to be set up differently than what people are saying it's supposed to be doing. I'm just not really seeing it really working just yet the way I need it to work. Now, I don't know if it's my setup or if it's the computer. I haven't really tried this out on the virtual environment. The virtual environment, basically, I've been using that for code. You do need to learn some things about code. Now, it's not that big of a deal. If you know anything about the Windows command line, so that's when you go to start and you go to run, or however you get to your command prompt, and you type in CMD, and then you go from there, and then you put your whatever your DOS prompts are in. And that's basically what is going to happen on this Pi-hole router. You're going to need to know a little bit about script, which they have it. It does work. I recommend the automatic script. People have said to stay away from it, but I'm like, why? It's too hard to figure out these other scripts that they've got. Now, I know I'm going to be going over some people's heads about scripts. It's just basically, they call it script. It's just basically a DOS prompt. That's all you got to do. And if you've used ipconfig, you can do this a little bit differently because it's a Linux DOS prompt command versus a Windows DOS prompt command. That's the only difference. Now, when I get into these videos, I'll be giving you some more detailed instructions. But basically, this video is basically just to give you a heads up of what I recommend you do rather than what they recommend you to do. And what's stable. They don't actually show you. They show you how to set it all up, but it's rotten videos that I've seen. Made me more frustrated than anything else. There's a way to do it, and I will get there. So basically what I'm trying to get at with this video is that you just need to use a regular computer that has 2 network cards. The wireless card, if you, and I'm not sure about desktops. I don't know why you'd want to use a wireless card with this thing. I don't get that right now. I wouldn't use a wireless card for anything. If you want stability, then you need to stay with wired. Unstable is wireless, and it can change in a heartbeat, especially things that are in the laptop. Now, this system right now is not really what I call plug and run. And what I mean by that is that you just plug it in and it works. Now, they really got plug and play the wrong way around. Because when they say plug and play, you're supposed to just plug it in and it plays. Now, this thing, you plug it in and you play with it. You physically play with it. You do all the messing around, trying to troubleshoot it, the whole 9 yards. Well, if you're feeling like overwhelmed right now, I'm just like, oh boy, I don't know if I really want to get into it. I'm not trying to scare you off. I'm just trying to give you the heads up of what you're looking at and what you're going to get yourself into. You do need internet to download this Pi-hole filtering thing. Now, the one thing that they don't tell you that I found out is that it has both a graphical user interface, as you can see behind me, and I have made some changes by the graphical user interface, and I did all their DOS prompt command stuff. I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't have to do that there. I could just do that by the graphical user interface. That's what GUI stands for. That's GUI. A lot of people just say GUI, 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 and all that's chewy. But, you know, it doesn't mean anything to me. I mean, it means something to me now, but to somebody that's just starting out, GUI doesn't mean anything unless they tell you. GUI means like what I just said, graphical user interface. And that is what, I mean, I would use the graphical user interface more than the DOS prompt command if you could get away with it. Now, the nice thing about this operating system is that if for some reason you do not have internet somewhere in your network, you can troubleshoot this quite easily. You can open up the web browser and type in a web address and see if it actually is connecting to the internet. So if it is connecting to the internet, then you know that there's something else down the line that you need to play with, whether it's a network card or this or that. But just beware that this system does not do routing. So I'm not quite sure how you're supposed to set this up with your router. I don't know if you're supposed to plug it into a switch. So it's basically, you know, it's not on your WAN port, it's on your LAN port. So that you have access to the DNS servers versus the other way. And I'm not quite sure how that's to work out just yet. But I'll get to that in some more videos. Anyhow, I'd say give it a shot. Look for some more of my videos. You that are subscribed are going to be up to date with my videos versus those that are just hitting my videos for the very first time. Now, yeah, if you're new to the videos that I do, I would go to the Pushing Technology to the Limit group on Facebook. I'm going to have a link on that page to a post that I did downloading the ISO file that I am using, that I recommend using and burning to a disk. Now, you can use any software, like Nero is the one that I use. If you like Nero, you can use that. It's very easy. You just put a DVD in and away you go. Let me get to showing you some of the stuff that's on this computer, both my 64-bit and my 32-bit virtual system. This is going to be a rough shot because I'm going to be doing it with my camera, so if you're like, well, it's a little bit hard to see, that's why. And when I get to do my video instruction type setups, I'm going to be doing it with the virtual computer, so you actually have a better screen to look from than a camera. So let me get there now and show you what I'm talking about. So here is my Raspberry Pi operating system on my computer here. So you can see that I've got another, my VMware workstation opened up here. So I've got some things customized on this. And I can go to Chromium or whatever they call that, and that's the web browser. And then that will open, there's no internet right now on this device, so I can't really go to a website. But I can actually go to the admin page of the Pi-hole. So I've got this running right now, but there's actually nothing really happening, which I will get into further things about that in the videos that I do. And that's what's nice about this, is that if you can't access it on your client computer, whatever that may be, your Windows, your other Linux computers, or your Macintosh, you can actually just go to here and look at it with no problem. So that's a good positive right there. And then this basically has like a Windows 7 look to it. I mean, I've got, this is the start menu. It kind of has a Windows 7 look to it, and well, as I customize it, as it looks kind of like XP, but you got different things here, and I hope you can see it all right. But like I said, if not, I'm going to be doing a little bit better video further down the line. So here on the corner of your screen, you can run over this icon and see the actual IP addresses that you got. Now if I just right click this thing, I can actually go to wireless and wired settings, and then I can tell, so it's at interfaces right now, and I can tell it Ethernet 0 or Ethernet 1. And then if I take this box and decheck it, I can make a static address, and then I can go to Ethernet 0 and then customize things there. So that's what this is doing here on this computer, and I'll show you my 64-bit laptop that's running the same thing. So here's my laptop that I've got running, and it seems to be working fine. I mean, there's no internet or networking connected to it because I'm still messing around with setting it up. But I've got my USB Ethernet card here, and like I said, I don't really recommend having a USB Ethernet card. I'd rather just use a internal network card. There is one here on this side, but you need to have two, and I don't recommend wireless. Now the wireless on this system does work, but for me, I really don't know why you'd want to use the wireless, because there's no routing to it. So now this mouse here on this computer, really, I'm not sure if it's the computer or if it's the operating system. I've got a regular mouse over here on my table that I just plugged into the USB port, and that works better than the actual mouse itself in the computer. But I can actually right click this and go to the same thing and go to the WAN on this one and do things. Now you can do anything you want with the laptop, but like I said, I would use the a laptop, or like I said, I recommend a tower over the Pi system itself, because it's so dinky and you need a flash card instead. This thing has a regular hard drive in it, and it works nice. So whatever you decide to do with your Pi-hole operating system, I recommend just using it on a regular computer. Now, if you want the Pi little computer system, I mean, try it. But for me, I recommend that you use a regular system, like one that has a real hard drive in it, like my laptop or my tower. A virtual computer doesn't have a real hard drive, but it uses a virtual hard drive, and it works fine. The processor doesn't really go that high. I mean, guarantee that you don't have that many systems running. I mean, I don't think it would do that much processing anyways, but when I get to do more testing, I'll have a little more to offer you as far as advice is concerned. And I don't know. I mean, you can watch those videos all that you want, but to me, they seem overwhelming. And you may be thinking, you may be a subscriber, and you're like, well, yeah, but you do all that cool stuff. Yeah, but I like simple. I like to plug it in and just use it. I don't really care to have to do all that configuration stuff. I mean, I don't mind installing an operating system, a thing or two. You do, and that's the other thing, that you do need to have some knowledge about installing operating systems. If you do know about installing operating systems, this would be a snitch to get it all going. But the trick is getting the networking to network. That part I have not conquered yet. And then I had it running last night, but who knows why it automatically just stopped functioning. I don't know. Could be something in the network card on the motherboard of the laptop. I don't know. I'm lost for words here, folks, to help you out with that. But this is just basically a video of my thoughts of what you should do. It's purely what you should do. I mean, whatever you want to do is up, fine with me. But if you are having problems, I would try the stuff that I recommend highly over what the other folks recommend. And if you got a computer kicking around like I do, I would just use the computer rather than having to buy a whole new one, whether a Raspberry Pi or what have you. And I'll see you the next time on Pushing Technology Limit. I'll do another video in a while once I get things going. But I really hope that you subscribe to the channel and tell some other people about if this helped you or not. But anyways, I will be seeing you later.